Episode number 43, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Facebook Live. Truth, Love, and Peace. Welcome to it. This is Govna.
What?
Thanks for being here, Govna. Welcome to the car. And you can't see her in the picture, but that's Brenda back there in the back seat. And so while we're sharing all of this on Facebook, etc. Oh, dropping phones. Oh. Do the preliminary introductions. I'm gonna put this right here next to you, right here in your way, Govna. Don't mind me, just putting shit all.
Are we getting
comments
and stuff from that?
Well, you know, if I knew people on Facebook, we would. But
is this showing up on Facebook? I didn't see it.
It should be right down there. So
Is that it?
Everything's recording, everything's up and running. Welcome to it. Truth, Love, and Peace, episode number 43. Moving on up in the world. We're at the Blind Mule because it's Wednesday in our world, unless you're listening to reruns. And there's a comedy open mic here, and apparently I'm not the only one wearing a kilt here today. There's some kind of scotch tasting thing going on.
There's a scotch tasting thing over there.
Which is ridiculous.
It is pretty good. Not that I would indulge in such a thing.
Why not?
Especially not with the open container laws or anything. I wouldn't violate those, really. No. That's not a good idea. So yeah, here we are. All things considered. Now that you mentioned the open container law, I can't decide if we should turn the air conditioner off. I don't want to turn the air conditioner off. Nah.
I think we'll be okay. Nobody's going anywhere.
Nah, not in this traffic.
Nice and relaxing.
Let's open the podcast with a pregnant pause like that.
It's good. It's good. This is the most awkward podcast around. I don't know if you've ever listened to an episode, but it's very long format conversations. The goal is to see how boring we can be. So, how do you like your tea, Govna?
It's nice. two sugars.
First, I want to ask, how was Hanger? What was it?
Hanger? Oh, Buster's Hanger. Yeah, that was a killer show.
Pensacola? Panama City?
Panama City Beach.
Tell us the story.
Buster's Hangar 67 is right on the beach there. It's this old guy, ex-Air Force. He's got a hangar there and a beach house that he let us stay in for a couple of days. It's awesome.
Nice. You went and did comedy and got paid for it and got to stay in a beach house.
Yeah, and he covered the tab. We got wasted. Some of us more than others.
Oh no, he's telling on you.
Brenda got wasted. But it was great. It was great fun. We had a good crowd, and it was awesome. They killed it. Everybody killed it. The local guys. We had some Hattiesburg people down there. Mallory Head and Jamie Hoffmeister. Yeah, and a local guy, Davey Dave. It was great.
I don't know any of those folks yet. I need to venture out, apparently.
Yeah, you go up to Hattiesburg. They got a good scene up there. They got some good comedians.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Evan Curry was there. He's really good. He was the feature.
Yeah. How many comics was that? 5?
Let's see. It was Davey Dave. Oh, there's a local guy. Sweet Jamie something or other, Sweet James or something. What he called himself?
Sweet Baby James.
Sweet Baby James, yeah.
I guess, I don't know.
And Davey Dave, Mallory Head, Jay Evan, and then me. Yeah, 5. Oh, and the host makes 6, but 5 comedians and a host. It was a good show. It was like an hour and a half, and we kept them entertained the whole time. It was good.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I wish I could have been there.
Yeah, it was a killer show. I mean, we'll probably try and get that like once a month, and we'll try and bring some Mobile people down there once it gets going. I think I was like the second or the third show. But,
really?
Yeah, but hopefully what we do is when we go to a show like that, especially Jamie Hoffmeister, he's into the booking side of it, and I'm going to help him out because I've got a lot of contacts and stuff. So once we've got a show like that going, if we can get it done every month, then we can bring people that we know that are good.
That's awesome. That's good for everybody.
Yeah, and we could like load up the van or this, and just pile down there. It'd be good.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been doing comedy?
Oh, I don't know, like 7 years, I guess now. On and off, though. I've been half-assing it most of the time.
Only 7 years, though? I thought...
about 9 years.
9 years?
9 years?
I haven't been count.
Because you've done some some big shows. I mean,
yeah,
Huntsville Hour and
and I've recorded an album, which is probably good.
He was with Doug Stanhope.
That's awesome.
It's twice Doug Stanhope.
That's awesome.
Stanhope's one of my favorite comedians. The guy's awesome. The thing about Stanhope is that he's mastered finding an audience. He's found his voice. Everybody has, you have to find your voice, obviously, and then you have to find an audience. And Stanhope can just show up in any shitty town, which he specialises in shitty towns. He's been to Mobile twice, guys. He specialises in shitty towns. He doesn't play like the theatres or the big shows. He just shows up in crappy bars in shitty towns and just packs it out just because everybody knows him. You know, he puts it on his website that he's going to be here, and the audience comes to him, which is
great.
Which is a fantastic way to make a living, really.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
He's a pretty cool guy.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
I was trying to get this to share on Facebook myself so that Doug could watch it, but it's
not going.
No, sometimes technology does not abide. Does not abide. So how'd you meet Stanhope?
Oh, Ryan booked it. You know, Ryan Jedden.
Yeah?
He's a guy. I mean, he kept Mobile comedy going for years now. Anyway, he's doing the regular show at the Alchemy. And he put it together. He did the show here, and Bubs Harris booked him for the Pensacola show, and you know we managed to get a nice little loop for him because he was already booked in New Orleans, but he managed to get a few dates added onto his fill in his gap, and you know stuff like that. Traveling comedians like that when you can fill in the gaps for them. That's the way to get people that wouldn't normally come to a show to come to a show because you know they're filling in blanks in the schedule. But Ryan's the guy that did it. I mean, he really is Mobile comedy as far as I'm concerned. Ryan Jedden. He's kept this thing going for years.
He made it out to the Tinderbox last night, and I couldn't pass up the opportunity to hang out with him. Yeah. Usually I make the run over to Pensacola afterwards. Oh, yeah. And it's like, no, I think I'm going to hang out. Because Ryan he's been busy with the film Scramble.
Oh, yeah.
He was showing me the new film that he's put together. Nice. It was really good. It was really good.
So you hosted you hosted the Tinderbox?
I did.
And you did my Merry Widow show too. How did that go?
Thank you for inviting me. It went well. We had a bunch of people there. Mother's Day was there weren't as many people there on Mother's Day as there was on the week before. But now that we know everybody, Jordan and Renee, and it's just that much easier having gotten to know everybody.
Sure.
Got a flyer made for that, so hopefully we can put some of those up.
Yeah.
For the future upcoming mics.
Yeah, sure. Okay, if you want to host that, anytime you want to host that, I'll be down for it.
Thank you. That's awesome. I love doing it. I love getting the work in. I've got this little delusion that I'm going to be able to put together some time and put together a little 30-minute thing for YouTube here in the near future, and I'm working on it. And I enjoy getting as much practice as possible.
Yeah, you need it.
I do. If you got any more, I'll take it.
Everybody needs practice. Yeah.
It's fun, though.
He's also been in two
little
short films.
Oh, that's right. You showed me the video when we were we were hanging
video,
out.
Yeah.
And then the first one.
A couple of short films are on YouTube.
Nice.
Hell yeah! What was the music video one? I forgot.
Paw Paw's Medicine Cabinet. They're a local band, very good.
Yes.
And
then he was in the Napa thing.
The Lang app, that was Chris Skoda put me in there. I was in that with Ryan.
You was in the other one was.
I've done that a couple of times.
Film thing. Remember? That was fun. You did.
Yeah, it's good.
So he's been all over the place.
I've done a few things. It's good.
Been working.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to ask you about Huntsville. How is that? I've heard Huntsville has
great.
Or something.
Yeah,
what's that all about?
Well, I haven't been to the club. The stand-up live club is pretty new.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a great scene already. A lot of great comedians.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I was up there, they were all living in like this condo place, like a comedy condo, which is pretty cool. They were all squatting together. I think that's broken up since then. But while we were there, it was great because I was touring. And I could just stay there for like a week and do Huntsville and Nashville and stuff like that. It was great, and then come back to them. And it was good. But they do have a great a great scene up in Huntsville. It's really awesome. And Knoxville too. JC Rattlers has got a good thing going up there. There are a lot of nice little places around that you can travel to, which is probably the best thing about doing comedy, is you can travel to these little things, and if you know people, you can stay with them and check out their scene and their mics, and move from town to town. I like it.
Hopefully I am going to get to do that soon, so I'm taking notes over here.
Yeah, Nashville, Huntsville, these are all good places to go.
That's great. So you mentioned you did Huntsville as part of a tour.
Yeah, I went up, me and Todd Gosser. He's in Virginia, so we started up at Virginia, did some rooms there, which is pretty successful, and that pretty much financed the rest of the tour, pretty much. In Virginia, we did a couple of rooms, and then we went back down through Tennessee and Mississippi, and ended up in Florida. It was cool. It was a good little ride, couple of weeks. Nice.
But that one time you went to Huntsville, they did that. They filmed all y'all.
Oh yeah, that was good. There's the mill, they call it. It's like it used to be a mill, but now it's like an art center. There's a lot of art studios, and there's a little theater in there that does comedy pretty regularly. And the Epic Comedy Hour is probably one of the best shows in the South. They regularly get like 150 people show up for that every month. And, it's a booked show, and it really is killer. Because the crowd's into it, and they film it. It's like a DVD quality film, and they give you the copy of it. It's good.
Nice. Where can we go to find that if we want a copy of it?
Of my thing? It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube?
Yeah, I'll have to put the link up. I'm using it to submit to festivals and stuff, which is useful.
That's great. Yeah. I need to catch up. I definitely need to catch up. That's great. So you're submitting to some festivals.
Yeah,
what's on the horizon for you?
Well, they've all turned me down, obviously, but
wow, that's so far. That's not. You're not done. You're not done.
But yeah, you put it, because it costs you money each time you submit. But you should put in a few a year, just to keep your hand in, and eventually one will take you, and then then you could use that as like the central part of a tour. Well, that'll be my plan. If somebody does put me into a festival like a few months out, then I'd book some shows around that. So then it'll pay for itself. You
also did the Laughing Skull.
Yeah, the Laughing Skull in Atlanta's a good room.
I don't know anything about Atlanta and the Atlanta comedy scene.
It's tough. It's a really big scene. It's hard to get into from the outside, but the level of comedians is fantastic. Really fantastic.
I just need to go up there and take some notes then.
Yeah, there's a Monday show at the Star Bar. That is just... I mean, the bar opens at 8 o'clock and there's a crowd outside waiting to get in to see the comedy.
Yeah!
You know what I'm saying? That it's filled up, and there's like a dozen comedians on, and every one of them is top notch. It's just fantastic.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. I mean, I would go. I would go to Atlanta just to see the show. Never mind being there. But, it's just.
And that's just on a Monday night.
That's on a Monday night, free show, 8 o'clock. Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, for a place like Mobile, where it's tough to get anybody to show up. To see a place that's packed up with people waiting to get in as soon as it opens. It's just it's like a whole different world, really.
I think we're going to make it come around. I think everything goes in cycles.
Yeah, we seem to be in a lull right now, but yeah, but maybe it'll pick up.
I do my best not to take that personally.
You shouldn't blame yourself.
Be like, I got to be funnier.
Yeah, well, you do, but you shouldn't blame yourself. Everybody else is blaming you, but you shouldn't blame yourself.
Yeah. I'm wondering about this guy with walking across the street from us.
That guy?
Yeah.
You checking us out?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. But he's got some kind of lanyard under his shirt.
Oh, yeah.
It's making me nervous. Anyway, I'm sure he's wondering what we're doing. We should call him over here and put him on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be good for viewership. Arrested live.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. We're filming a podcast. We're not doing anything. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I got a show coming up on June the 8th in Ocean Springs. Hopefully that'll be a regular thing at the Crooked Letter Brewery in Ocean Springs on Porter Avenue. That's like it's like $1 cover. I mean, we're going to give it like a free show, but I think if you charge people something, then they treat it better. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's a free show, they'll just go in and talk and drink and talk to their friends. But if you try and make them just pay, even if it's just to pay $1, then they'll pay more attention. That's the theory. So we're going to do a $1 cover show, and hopefully that'll be another monthly thing that we can keep going in Ocean Springs.
That sounds very fun.
That's June the 8th. That's going to be the first one.
June 8th. What day of the week?
That's a Friday.
A Friday.
8 o'clock.
Friday, 8 o'clock. Ocean Springs.
Ocean Springs.
Ocean Springs. June 8th. Nice.
So you're doing pretty good, right? Yeah, I mean you're doing the mics here and Pensacola.
Yeah, doing well. I go to the open mics in Pensacola. I try and make 3 or 4 a week, and as many as I can, get as much practice as I can in. And I teamed up with Emily Dillon.
Oh yeah, she's good.
Yeah, over in Orange Beach to do Stinger's Comedy, which is our little project. We've got a regular date at a place called the Flying Harpoon 2. We're going to be there on this Saturday, May 19th, if anybody's in the area. Just come check it out. It's a lot of fun. We've had a great time doing it. And doing more and more of them, hopefully to come, trying to get more people interested in live comedy and
that's
coming out to shows.
If you can get people to come to the show, and come to a show to see somebody they've never heard of, that's the trick. If they know that you guys put on a good show, and it's consistently good every month, then they'll go because they know it's going to be good comedy that they haven't necessarily heard of the comedians that are playing.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be very responsible and proceed with caution,
Right.
and not overstep anything. And that's why I picked your brain a little bit. I've tried to pick everybody's brains on what the community needs.
It needs a good show, and you got to put on good comedians. You can't just put anybody up there, because if they know it's hit and miss, then they're only half as likely to come, the audience.
Yeah.
But if they know everybody's good, then they'll go, even if they won't sit around and wait for somebody they've heard of. Because by the time they've heard of that comedian, they're going to be like charging $80 a ticket at the Sanger.
Right.
Right. Well, you can see people who are very, very good for free, or very little at your local bar.
Yeah, and that's what I like doing is the bottom end. It'd be cool to be able to eventually bring Stanhope and everything in,
right.
but that's not what I'm able to
right.
contribute right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that to y'all. But out where we're at on the beach, being able to set up a couple of shows here and there that helps bring consistently good comedy. That brings a lot more legitimacy to what everybody does, I hope. In that when we share each other's stuff and when we're plugging each other, then more and more people realize that they can come out. Because Seinfeld had a great turnout from what I heard.
Yeah.
I know Stanhope had a great turnout.
Yeah.
So there are people that want to come out.
Right. A lot of times, like I say, they wait for somebody they've heard of, like Seinfeld. Obviously, they know Seinfeld, so they'll come and they'll pay $80 a ticket, which is ridiculous. Whereas they could see somebody. I mean, we're not as good as Seinfeld, but we make them laugh for like $5 a ticket. I mean, right?
That's right.
We're not as good as Seinfeld, but we still make you laugh, though, right?
What did that guy say? The show. They came up to him.
He did. He said, "Oh, it's the best comedian I've ever had."
That's great.
He said he was having a bad day, and he said he made his day.
Yeah, he did.
That's the whole point, right
and
there.
he bought my CD and everything. He loved me.
That's the best.
That's the best. Yeah, he said, "Oh, you're the best comedian I've ever seen." So I said, "Well, you ought to get out more often."
But still, it's
a huge compliment. Yeah,
that's great. That's very, very cool. I get giddy every time somebody somebody gives me a compliment. You know, if somebody likes a joke or anything like that.
It is good.
I can't imagine on that level. You know, one day. One day. So, I'm picking your brain about the CD. How long is your album?
It's 40 minutes. Yeah.
40 minutes. That's spot on.
Yeah, we recorded it up here at the Blind Mule. It's just one take. There's no editing or anything. You know, we recorded it to BFG. He recorded it, and you know, did some sound, whatever, work on it. And Ryan put the pictures together into like a cover, and you know, I sent it off and got it put on a CD. It was good.
Oh, yeah.
I sell it on shows and stuff now. It's good. Yeah, well, it's nice that somebody likes you, then they can give you more money. You know?
Yeah, having something to sell people is a big
deal. Even if it's just a T-shirt or a CD or buttons, stickers, whatever it is.
I'm looking into getting T-shirts.
You should sell some kilts or something.
There are other people that got that under control. That's kind of expensive. That's not the kind of walking around money most people have for buying something at a comedy show. It'd be funny though to have a couple with some print ups on them. It'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
So, what are you into besides comedy? What or how did you end up in Mobile, Alabama, or Mississippi?
Well, you know, I got married to an American woman. That's how I ended up in the States. And we ended up down here. You know, I like this part of the world. You know, it's good. The South is the best part of America, right? Right? Isn't it? The South is better than the North. Yeah. No. Right? What do you think? You don't agree?
I grew up in Mobile, Alabama. I'll contribute that much. There's something about the accent that is very, you know, English.
Yeah.
All American accents originate in England, but there's a reason the Southern accent blends a lot easier in England, from what I understand.
Yeah.
A lot of similar, like-minded opinions.
Yeah, I guess.
Between the two. We could go hard into history, though. I don't know if you're ever on Facebook, but I hosted a pretty vigorous debate with people that are still wanting to argue about all kinds of hot-button issues around the Civil War and whether or not the South and the North, you know, who has opinions on that whole thing. It's very interesting. There are a lot of people with a lot of different opinions in the world, Govna.
Yeah.
I get reminded of this on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them have read different books than I have.
Some of them haven't read any books. They just make this shit up.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Yeah.
And some of those debates can be educational, but I try to steer away from them. I'm very, very much an idealist.
You like ideas, yeah.
A modern contemplative.
You're a Renaissance man.
Yeah, I'd love to be. If I could find a way to get paid for it, we'd be all good. It's hard. It's hard to be a philosopher these days.
Yeah, I mean, most of those philosophers had, like, rich patrons, like Leonardo da Vinci and, you know, people that just paid him to be to be their man, you know. Yeah.
I just haven't found my rube. I'm working on it.
You need a sugar daddy. That's what you need. Maybe you should wear a shorter skirt, maybe.
I don't know. That might, who knows? Could scare them all off.
Yeah, it's tough to make a living as a comedian these days.
Yeah. Well, and that goes back to the merchandise. I think a lot of it is the people who do it successfully seem to do like Stanhope does. They tour and
Stanhope spent a lot of time just building an audience, and then that audience loves him and goes wherever he goes. Yeah,
takes a lot of grind.
It does, yeah. He's really one of the few that have pulled it off. And there are other comedians I've seen who really just go all out on the merch. You know, not to mention any names, but they're just like, well, they're basically just T-shirt salesmen. You know, and their set is all geared around, you know, selling the merch. You know,
That's rough.
It is rough, yeah. But, you know, they make a lot of money, and, you know, if they have a successful show, they sell their merch and move on. But they're not, I don't know, they're not purists. Not to sound too snobby, but there are different levels of comedy in my point of view. And just doing it to make a living, although that's good. I mean, I'd love to make a living in it too, but you got to do more than just make somebody laugh enough to buy a T-shirt.
So what are the deeper levels of comedy for you? Like,
I mean, even just making people laugh. I mean, it's hard on one level, but on another level, people will laugh at, you know, farts. So I mean, right? People laugh at themselves and other people. They laugh at somebody tripping over the sidewalk. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be, you got to make people think, you know, as well as make them laugh. But then you can't just turn it into a lecture. You can't turn it into a TED talk. It's still got to be funny. You right? Recording or not?
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course it has. But there's a whole thing about having to press the button. But you were saying it's including some philosophy,
right?
And
but you got to throw some dick jokes in there too, so just to keep them interested, right? I mean, if you could do a take on something and then make them look at it from a different point of view, right, then that's a huge accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a complexity. I'm not there yet. I'm still working on it.
Right.
So, I guess how has that view of comedy for you evolved, or do you remember a clear beginning to it?
I guess, I mean, I've always tried to get there, and it's a constant struggle. I mean, you're always going to be going uphill. You're never going to reach the summit, but you just have to keep doing it. And it's getting harder because everything's like identity based now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saw that correspondence dinner, you know, the last one with the and everybody, you know, and if you're a conservative, then you hated that girl, and if you're a liberal, then you loved it. But you should be able to look at it objectively, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a journalist reporting on that, and you see people on Fox saying, "Oh, this woman bombed, and it was so too liberal," and that's clearly false because there were people in the room dying laughing, and that was a tough room, right?
Yeah.
Because those are professionals. They didn't want to laugh, even though most of them were liberal leading. You still got to say stuff to make them funny, and they're not going to laugh just out of charity. So she was doing very well at the job, and some of the jokes, you know, didn't go over quite as well. But she did kill it. I mean, and to say that she didn't just because you're a conservative on a conservative channel is basically very disingenuous. And that kind of thing where people look at a joke and they say, well, as a conservative, I didn't find that funny. You should be able to look at it beyond your identity and say, objectively, is that funny or not?
Mm-hmm.
From your own point of view. You should be able to laugh at stuff. You should be able to laugh at stuff that you don't agree with, as well as stuff that you do agree with. And I think this country's getting more entrenched in their identity. And, you know, and if you make a joke about something that is in your life, like Joan Rivers famously made a joke about somebody that was deaf, and some woman in the audience said, "Oh, my son's deaf," and she stormed out. But that, I mean, your personal situation doesn't affect the joke. I mean, you should still be able to, you know, I mean, it's your problem, right?
Yeah.
That you didn't find it funny. Everybody else in the audience did find it funny, so therefore the joke is funny. For you to say that's not funny because of your personal situation, it's kind of fucked up, right?
Yeah.
It's not, the joke's not about you or your situation.
Ego.
Yeah, it's very ego, very identity-based. And we got to get beyond that, and I don't think we ever will, but it seems to be getting worse.
Doesn't it always get worse before it gets better, though? I hope that's what the robots are going to teach us.
Yeah, the robots are going to take over eventually. That'd be good. I, for one, welcome our mechanical overlords.
Yeah, because apparently they're not good at writing jokes, so we'll be okay. We'll be in demand.
Yeah, they won't be able to get the jokes either, but whatever.
Well, we'll hope there's a well-funded audience somewhere. Patreon.com, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe they will be able to get jokes. They'll get the formula down, the knock-knock joke formula, they'll get it perfected. And hopefully there'll be a robot on a Netflix special that we can all find funny as fuck.
I'm trying to think of what that would look like. And the first image is Jude Law from that AI movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
He's a gigolo bot.
Yeah, yeah, those will come out. I mean, it's going to be sex, right? Sex is going to be the driving force for most technology.
It's always the beginning,
right?
It's always the beginning.
So when you have sex, when you have robots, you're going to have sex robots first.
But don't we already have sex robots?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, how? Go check out your local adult gift store. There are plenty of sex robots.
Yeah, don't stick your dick in a rumba though. That won't work out.
No, no, don't do that.
Not all robots are sex robots. Hashtag not all robots.
Hashtag not all robots. Too funny. I do kind of enjoy sitting in the car and watching people wander around. On a side note.
This is people watching. People watching is fun, you know.
It is. So you can keep an eye on people. I wonder about people who tuck their shirt into their jeans.
Well, like that guy? Yeah, that guy's a douche.
Glad. Thank you for saying it for me. I wasn't committed. Got to lean into it. Got to learn that lesson, Govna. Learn that lesson. Oh, man. So, before I let us run off, it's about 7 o'clock. We've been at this for about a half hour. Hey, Emily chimed in. She says she loves you, Govna.
Well, what's not to love? Let's see.
It's very true. It's very true. Is there anything that you've been thinking a lot about that I may not know to ask you about? Like, do you hope the president gets impeached like I do?
No, I don't think so. I think the president's good for America, because he clearly doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Right? And he obviously didn't want the job to start off with. He was doing it as a laugh.
Yeah.
Whereas the other person who's, genetically engineered to be president, Hillary's been doing it a whole life. And I think it's good for America that the guy who didn't want the job got the job. Right?
From that perspective, I totally agree. Totally agree.
I mean, we were given two bad choices. I mean, you could choose the incompetent or the corrupt, and we went with the incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think which is a better choice.
And in some ways, that's the only way it ever changes, is incredulously. No one wants to change, and so it does take some catastrophe.
Sure.
And in this case, the catastrophe is the moral character of the president.
Right. He doesn't have any moral character, right? Which is good.
But he keeps coming back for more, so you got to give him tenacious.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah, I think it's good for American democracy in the long run.
I think you're right, because once it hit the public fore and it's there, and now everyone has to deal with it. Like you can either separate the morals and the ethics out from it, or you can't, and it has forced a lot of people to have some honest conversations. Right. So that's a big plus.
I mean, most presidents have been immoral. I mean, Bill Clinton was obviously getting blowjobs.
Sure.
This guy was banging porn stars, but that's what rich guys do, right?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's the degree to which he's ashamed about it that always just perplexes me.
Yeah, he should just
unabashedly.
He should just own up to it. He said, "Yeah, I banged the porn star. What are you going to do about it?"
And move on.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he's made it so horrible for himself. Otherwise,
he has made a big cock up of it.
Because the legal harangue that's going to come along with why didn't you just say that to begin with?
Yeah, that's what he should have done. He should say, say what?
He's put himself in the same position that Clinton put himself in, basically, which is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Yeah.
But It's pretty amusing.
But you shouldn't expect politicians. I don't know why we got this idea that politicians are some kind of saints that we have to look up to.
Yeah, never.
I mean, they're all scumbags. Why is it a big shock that we find out that one of them's corrupt or one of them's a pervert? Or, I mean, they are. I mean,
find me one that's not.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why did you think they were going to be saints?
Are they human?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Skeletons in the closet. Welcome to it.
Yeah. You shouldn't be getting your moral compass from other people. You got to find it in yourself, and just be true to yourself, and stop expecting other people to live up to your ideals.
Was that an eat mushrooms campaign? Right there,
I guess.
Did I just hear? So, I like and dig into Buddhism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you talk about finding your moral compass on your own, what does that mean for you, or how has that meant for you?
Well, I think Buddhism is fine. I mean, I've always thought that's like one. I mean, there's pretty much just been Buddhism, right? I mean, Christianity is pretty much like a retelling of the Buddha.
There's a whole lot of similarities, for sure.
A lot of the religions have just kind of updated it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, if there was going to be like one religion, it's probably going to be Buddhism. As long as you don't take it to extremes.
Yeah, I like the parts of it that are less religion. I really appreciate the parts of it that are just psychological practice, that are good.
Solid thing. And I think that's how it started. And then the whole thing about the fat guy that you see on the statue, that's not the guy, right? That's not the Buddha.
No, he was an advocate of the middle way. Right. So any excess would have not been copacetic with Siddhartha.
Yeah.
It's really sound philosophy if you dig into it. The Four Noble Truths. There's some really very, very wise words in that whole thing. But I enjoy all kinds of ancient philosophy. Like I dig into the Anunnaki stuff. Whether or not they were aliens, I think they were just different hominids that were interbreeding. Sure. That's kind of where my theory's at on that.
Right.
I don't know if you want to dig into all that history stuff. I love it.
I mean, there are aliens, obviously. I mean, you can't.
Right.
You can't say that the whole galaxy is completely empty. That's stupid.
Yeah. I don't see them as necessary to the human history. But sure, Moore's law or which one is it that says?
Sure.
There's so many planets.
I mean, it's just basic mathematics. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, you see life popping up in the unlikely circumstances here on Earth. So you can't say that it's never going to happen anywhere else. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. Because there are trillions of planets out there, and to say there's not, I mean, at least like a blade of grass or a bacteria on any of them, every one of them is completely sterile. That's stupid.
Yeah. I heard someone saying earlier today that the study into RNA, ribonucleic acid, that you just couldn't have evolved that in the 4 billion years that the planet's been here.
Right.
Like, and there's research that's backing that up. Of course, that raises another good point. There's research backing up everything these days.
There is, yeah. But yeah, there is evidence of things hopping from one planet to another.
Yeah, panspermia.
Yeah.
And more.
The octopus, for example, those are aliens. They were the first intelligent creatures on Earth, and their DNA is completely unlike anything else.
They can change their DNA.
Right. So that's, you never know whether they originally came on a rock from somewhere else, or a meteor landed with some octopus jism on it and sort of... Right. Right.
Octopus flinging
octopus
DNA across the galaxy.
And there's things like
that's where the flying spaghetti monster came from.
Oh, yeah. And things like the tardigrade, we've already shown that they can survive in space. They go into hibernation.
Yeah.
And even if you expose them to the vacuum of space, they can still come back from it. So it's certainly possible.
And so there you have your little DNA vessel across space and time.
Yeah.
And if you go far enough back, I saw a recent genetic analysis that says we go all the way back to fungi.
Yeah.
That everything is related, or almost everything is descended from fungi.
From the primordial soup.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I like the idea that we're just this conscious meat suit that's carrying around fungi that's way smarter than us and been around way longer than us.
There are more bacterial cells in your body than there are human cells, by about 10 to 1.
Yeah, orders of magnitude, for sure. More, which is mind-blowing.
Because you think yourself as human, but you're only like 10% human.
Most
you're
people
90% bacteria.
90% bacteria. You're more not you than you are you.
Yeah. So, whose dreams are they that you're having?
That's a fun question. Whose dreams are they? And then when you look into all the dietary problems that fast food causes, from Monsanto and these people genetically modifying food, whose dreams are you having? Are you having your guts bacteria dreams? Or are you having Monsanto's dreams?
Right.
Creepy.
So is there anything that you believe in that you know that the vast majority of the rest of the world doesn't believe in? Or vice versa, the vast majority of the world does believe that you don't believe? Is there anything like you're in the minority in, you think?
Let's see. Reincarnation?
Oh, yeah?
I believe in reincarnation. I don't think that's a minority, though.
A lot of people do. But how do you account for the world population going up if it's just the same souls coming back all the time?
Because self doesn't exist the way it does in meat suits, the way that it does in energy, because that gets into the energy of we are all one.
Right.
So you can subdivide consciousness as much as you want, but consciousness exists as a singularity.
So it can come back in different time, different people at the same time, right?
Yeah. And it's much less of a... Oh, okay, so here's one that science is in the process of evolving. Field theory.
Yeah.
I think that we are in a transition from this single-point physics theory being the way that we perceive reality to the fact that we are getting more into the physics of we're all one, which is field theory.
Right.
So I don't know if that's a minority yet, but that's one I believe in.
So you think physics is going to catch up with spirituality?
Sooner or later it has to, because we have as little monkey critters. Yeah. I think we have just come up with ingenious, creative, cute little ways to bypass nature and shortcut nature, but the ancient versions of humanity that didn't have toys and just had themselves figured that shit out a long time ago. Yeah. And so we've gotten good at being specialists, but human beings a long time ago were good at being
generalists.
Yeah. And with that came the difference that artificial intelligence is struggling to overcome now, is we have programmed artificial intelligence to be narrowly intelligent, but we have not programmed it to be generally intelligent. And once it makes that leap, it's going to put us all to shame and redefine what enlightenment is.
It's going to start programming itself.
Yeah.
And then that'll make the leap.
Yeah. So I guess if there's anything that I believe that is not the norm, is that what the norm considers to be historically accurate is just fucking wrong. Across the board.
Yeah, most of history is made up.
Yeah, and so I think that would be the blanket version of all of the things that I've come to learn. It's not like I came up with any of that shit.
Nothing's original.
Right. I've repackaged it from my perspective.
Sure, that's what you can ever do.
Mm-hmm. And I think I've done a pretty good job flavoring my version of the soup.
Nice.
But it's I didn't invent carrots. I didn't invent onions.
Nice.
Just working on making a tasty stew.
Yeah, that's all you can do, man.
Yeah,
that's all you can do.
I wonder why this guy's married to this van. He's just. Oh, that's a different guy. The guy in front of us being in and out and back and forth to his van is creeping me out. How about you? Where are you the outlier?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. Pretty much everything. I'm kind of into the whole... the mathematical odds of this being a simulation.
Cool.
Like Elon Musk thinks it's billions and billions to one against this being real. I mean, the chances of this being real are astronomically ridiculous. you may as well just accept that this isn't real.
So, but then that raises questions of processing power.
Right.
Like, how deep down that rabbit hole do you like to go? Or have you gone? Because I enjoy all kinds of questions around that.
Sure. Right, processing power, I mean, how much processing power do you need? You just add it on. Like, if we ever did, leave the galaxy, I'm sure there'd be some downloadable content that would, on the server, would expand in that direction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And stuff like the Nelson Mandela problem, that...
The Mandela effect.
Mandela effect.
Yeah.
That's just, like simulations being merged just to save space, right?
It's just a glitch.
Yeah, I mean, because they're running so many different simulations, and then eventually, if they haven't got enough subscribers in one, they're just going to merge it into another one. It's not going to be 100%, there's going to be a few glitches. But they're just going to say, well, fuck it, if they notice, they're not going to do anything about it, right?
So, universe is a simulation, and then inject that into the multiverse.
Well, the multiverse is just... I mean, you wouldn't just have one simulation.
Sure. But the foam of the multiverse.
It's just different. You'd have the same server running different programs.
Makes sense. I don't disagree with the simulation theory in a lot of ways. What I do is, my version is more synthetic, in that there is no real difference between hardware and wetware.
Yeah.
So if you strove to create a simulation that was self-sufficient, how would you do it? You would do it out of wetware that could replicate and reproduce itself.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, there is no reality that is not simulation.
It's going to be real, yeah.
Yeah, it'll seem real, but there is no reality that is not simulation.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of people in this world, very, very rich and powerful people who do believe that, and they are actively working on breaking reality.
Yeah, which would be pretty funny if they figured out how to do it.
That would be like, I mean, if you could combine all of the world's resources into one project, that would be the one you could choose. I mean, not like solving hunger or cleaning up pollution or anything. I mean,
cracking reality
would solve all the other problems, right?
It would, because then you would know exactly what kind of energy you had to redirect.
Sure. It's probably, and then you'll find God is just some
asshole in a lab,
asshole in his mother's basement.
Odds are
God is human, and not a very nice human at that.
If we look at the way that it rolls out, unfortunately, the numbers bear that out.
I mean, mathematically, the odds of it being real are just astronomical. I mean,
yeah,
you can pretty much negate the fact that it's real. I mean, it's just so ridiculously,
So, is that an argument for chaos theory?
I guess you could say it is, yeah.
I don't know, I feel like you just drugged me into a Rick and Morty episode.
Rick and Morty are awesome.
They are. Did you hear they got signed for like 70 more episodes?
70?
Yeah. Nice. I did a double take when I heard that. I said, 7 seasons? 70? Oh.
70 episodes?
70 episodes.
That's
like
awesome.
More than, way out there. Which is kind of funny because I think that was the plan all along, was to do 100 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the beginning they make a reference to anyway.
Right.
Rick and Morty's a great show. Looking forward to it.
It is.
Really looking forward to it.
I think it's going to end up with it being revealed that Rick is Morty from the future. Right? He's teaching himself. Right? Because he shows up in his kids, in his past, in order to solve some problem. I think that's how it's going to end.
I could see that. Well, because it has to be selfish.
Yeah, it does.
For it to be.
And you remember, like, sometimes when he went back and he was imagining his past, he used to say things like, "Oh yeah, I wore blue pants then, and that's the same color pants that Morty wears."
Oh, hell yeah!
Shit like that they've been dropping in.
Yeah. See, I haven't been watching it long enough, but I'm finally getting into it.
It is a great show.
It is.
What other TV shows do you like?
One of my favorites that I don't watch anymore is Boston Legal.
Oh, really? I've never seen them.
Yeah, way back in the day. It was Bill Shatner, William Shatner, and James
Oh, right.
Spader,
I did see some of that. Yeah,
lawyers.
Shatner was awesome in that.
Yeah, we had this big law firm in New
Right.
York and talked about how I had Mad Cow and would just do crazy shit.
Yeah, Shatner was off the wall in that movie.
It was really good.
Yeah, I do remember that now.
Really
I saw
good.
some of that. It was really good.
Outside of that, I watch a ton of just informative documentaries and lectures and
I try to do that.
all kinds of crazy
I
stuff.
try to watch as many documentaries as I can.
I love the Planet Earth stuff. Werner Herzog, I watch all of Werner Herzog's stuff on a loop, just because I can't figure out if he's a comedian or a documentarian.
Right.
Take notes out of his notebook all day.
Yeah.
But I don't have cable, so I'm mostly Netflix and Hulu and YouTube right now, which works out really well for me.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Cutting the cord.
Yeah.
Yeah, cable's are losing a lot of subscribers for their TV. I mean, they're obviously selling their internet cable, but the actual TV side is going down.
Good. The boob tube.
Right.
Staring at screens, it drives me insane. I don't know how much you have to do for any of the comedy social media stuff, but just making flyers and staring at the computer screen crosses my eyes after a while.
Stupid.
Can't fucking do it. Absolutely insane. But the holographic universe, going back to the simulation, did you read, I can't remember the author's name, but do you remember that book, Holographic Universe? Came out in the 90s. I want to say David Icke, but I don't think that's right.
I don't think it was Icke.
No,
Ike's
he's
really out there.
a different thing.
Yeah. He thinks that the turquoise is intelligent or something like it.
Really? I haven't heard
thinks
that one yet. That's awesome.
The moon's not real, and all kinds of shit.
I've heard some of the stories about the moon not being real, and I have questions. Like the whole measurements of the moon ringing.
Yeah.
Whether it's real or not, that's fascinating.
Yeah, when they landed, it made like a dong.
Yeah,
like
a couple of occasions that it
hollow.
Resonated.
Yeah. I think it's hollow. He thinks it's an alien spaceship.
I don't know about the whole alien spaceship, but I'd be okay with there being a moon base on the dark side of the moon.
Right. I mean, the moon is larger than it really needs to be. It's larger in comparison to our planet than all the other planets' moons, right?
Yeah.
Jupiter's got a ton of planets, but they're all tiny compared to it. Whereas ours, compared to our planet, is massive. And that's had a huge effect. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the moon.
Correct.
I mean, because the moon created the tides, and that gave us that wet, dry thing, which enabled us to come out of the sea in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't be here without a moon of that size. Which kind of, makes you think, was it put there just to bring us here, whatever.
Or straight up Battlestar Galactica. It was that the spaceship moon that brought people to the spaceship Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Well, I was listening to somebody, I don't know if you're familiar with Nick Pope, but
I heard the name.
Nick Pope was the defense minister for Canada for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And came out, and he's like the highest ranking, deepest in elected official. I think he was elected.
Yeah.
That gets into. He flat out says there are 5 different alien races on the planet, and they get into some deep stuff about what's going on with Disclosure Project and Dr. Green, I think is his name.
Nice.
There's a documentary called Undisclosed where they go through and they get something like 200 military people to talk about. And there was this big news conference back in 2004 or something like that. It's a big deal. Because if not, you've got the Fermi paradox, which is if there's all this alien life, why hadn't it contacted us?
Right. But we are really at the beginning of the universe. I mean, we're what's it, like 18 billion years old? Something like that?
13.5?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's going to last, I mean, if you entropy is a billion years. So we're like 0.01%, right?
Yeah, if you look at all the red dwarf stars and all that, because yes. So we are towards the beginning and not the end.
I mean, we're like ridiculously. We're in like the first half of 1% of the universe's lifespan. So most of the alien I mean, most of the alien civilizations that will eventually come along, their planets haven't even formed yet. We are ridiculously early to the party.
So I haven't thought about it like that.
And when we do find another alien, I mean, if we do last until the end, it's going to be us. We could be the only ones who have witnessed the beginning up close. I mean, this close to the beginning.
So you think we're the first?
Well, we're one of the first. We're in the top, the top 1% at least.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of the universe like 13 billion, out of 100 trillion. I mean, you do the math. I mean,
obviously.
It's in the first half of 1%.
So that's why we keep screwing it up so bad. We're just fucking babies learning to crawl.
We are babies, but that would explain why we haven't been contacted. Most of them haven't even evolved yet. Most of the planets that are going to be aren't even there yet. I mean, never mind the life that's going to come on those planets.
And then think of all the trillions of planets there are already.
Right.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. Oh, the math is overwhelming. And then here we are just swirling around, and the analogy of there's a galaxy inside a marble, and the marble's inside a bag, just like in MIB, is completely, like, we're pretty much proven that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've pretty much proven that that's a simulation too.
Sure.
And so how and what we are is, who knows?
Who knows? Who cares? The only thing that's real are dick jokes.
Man, now I kind of regret quitting drinking.
You quit drinking?
Nah, I just took a vacation.
That's a bad move.
I've had a couple. Well, I hadn't taken a year off since I started drinking, and that had been 2 decades. And I was like, okay, maybe let's find out what sobriety feels like.
Yeah,
I didn't stop anything else, just alcohol.
Oh, okay.
And cigarettes eventually, but that was a must.
Cigarettes are bad for your health.
Yeah, those are rough. Those are rough. I've had a few drinks since then, but I went a whole year with none, which was good. It was a good experiment. I have a much greater appreciation for the effect of alcohol now, like how effective a drug it is. Because woohoo! If you're not paying attention, it'll get you. Like, I got real good. I had a good autopilot, so I was well trained. Had a lot of practice, and came out reasonably unscathed. But then after taking some time away from it and looking back, it's like, God damn, I was lucky. Like, you want to talk about being in the nth percentile? Woohoo!
Nice.
Got lucky for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Knock on wood. I don't mean to brag. Just fucking lucky.
Good stuff.
We need to go get this open mic started.
Oh yeah, I guess we do. All right.
Before I get back into the simulation. Well, dude, Govna, thank you so much for joining me. This has been awesome. Brenda, thanks for hanging out, listening to us chat.
I feel like Penny from The Big Bang Theory.
So, until then, Facebook, thanks for joining us. YouTube. We'll see y'all later. Until next time, truth, love, and peace.
Yeah, baby. So that wasn't live on Facebook, but it was live.